Let me kind of get situated here. Just make sure everything's kind of straight because we like straight here in the studio. Let me bring this up. So hello everybody. Welcome to June 1st. So you know what that means, the first of every month. I come on here with a pre-recorded video for you, all of you, and I create two pretty simple, easy, well, duplicatable Christmas cards to give you a little bit of inspiration if you want to create your Christmas cards throughout the year. So for this one, I'm using a standalone stamp set. It is called Be Jolly. So you have two different Santa Claus images, a Christmas tree, a cute little bird wearing a Santa hat, and then a sleigh full of gifts. So let's get started on our project. So let me bring in all the little stuff that we need for our first card. So for both of these cards, these images, as you can see in the stamp set, they are ones that you would color. So we're going to be coloring our images with our Stampin' blends today. Okay, so let me bring that in. So for my card base, I have a piece of real red that measures 8.5 by 5.5. I've scored it at 4 1/4. I have a piece of basic white that's 5 1/4 by 4. And then I have here this designer series paper. This is the Take a Bow 6x6 designer series paper. There's garden green, granny apple green, and real red in this pack. This bundled with a single die that die cut strips to where you can make gift bows. Now, as of right now, of what I've seen when I put this all together today, that the die and the paper are still available and both are on the last chance list. Now, I don't know offhand. I can take a really quick peek here. Let's see. I want to give you some correct info. I don't, if you're watching this, you know, you know, after I go and post this, I'm pre-recording this right now, and then as soon as I'm done, I will be posting it. So the Take a Bow die, that is like I said, it's on the last chance list. The regular price of that was $37. It is now marked down to $25.90. I believe it would be either the Christmas Eve or the Christmas Day video that I did last year in 2024. One of the projects that I did use I did use that die, and I also used this designer series paper. So if you want to see what those gift bows look like, I do have a video out there. Um, so the paper, so there's still the bundle, but the bundle just has that 10% discount, and that is $44.50. These amounts I'm giving you are here in the US. The bundle as well, it's on the last chance list. Now the designer series paper, this right here is also last chance, and the regular price of this pack of paper was $12.50. Right now it is marked down at $11.25. It is not showing that it is on low inventory. So this paper, there are 4 different double-sided designs. So there are what is in here? There's 48 sheets. So whatever the 48 divided by 4, and that's 12. So you do get a few extra sheets of each of the patterns. So there's this polka dot, you got the red and white candy stripe, and these polka dots, and then you have some of this crosshatch with those colors, and then when you turn it around you have some other colors as well, or designs actually. So you got some holly and some berries there, and then you have like this stripe. So this paper still is available, and again it is on the last chance list if you would like to grab that, or even the die as well. Now I will say that, like I said, you'll see out there is the Take a Bow bundle. Now the bundle, they take the regular price of the dies, and in this case the designer series paper, and they take 10% off, and that's the bundle pricing. If you are interested in getting the bundle, let me suggest that you do not use the item number for the Take a Bow bundle. Use the item number for the die and then the item number for the paper. That way you're going to get that discount that they currently have on it. So you're going to be saving a lot of money by actually entering them in individually rather than doing just the one number for the bundle. Okay, so just wanted to mention that really quick. So I took two 1 by 1 pieces of the designer series paper in this red and the white polka dots, and then once I cut them to 1 by 1, I then cut them diagonally. We're going to add these to the corners of our piece of basic white. So I'm going to fold and burnish my card base. Excuse me, as I drop everything. Let me check something here really quick. Okay, go back to my video. All right, so we'll set that aside. I'm going to bring in my liquid glue. Now by putting these corners on here, it's going to help me in lining up my images when I go to stamp them. Well, one of them is going to be the image of Santa Claus, and then the other stamp I'm going to use is the greeting. So put that down right here in the corner. So it's been pretty busy here in the studio this past weekend, so that's why I am a little late in getting this. Well, it's not really late because it's still June 1st technically, but I try to do my pre-recorded videos and schedule them to post like at 5 a.m. In the morning Central Standard Time. So I'm a little bit behind, but it's still the first, so as long as I get this video out there, then I feel like I'm still on track. Now, for this coming week, for my Throwback Thursday, I'm going to be using a recently retired stamp set from the annual catalog. It's called Coffee with Friends. And then next Friday, I will be going live here in the studio at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And for that Friday night, I am going to feature a new bundle that's in our online exclusives called Pop and Buy. So that one is a popcorn themed bundle. So we're going to be using that on Friday. One of the things I also do on my Friday night lives, at the end of the live, I do a drawing for 3 people to receive one of the cards that I make that night. So if you can join us, that would be wonderful. But if you can and you watch the replay, thank you, and I truly appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my Tuxedo Black ink. Now, this is not the case that the Tuxedo, Memento Tuxedo Black ink comes in. What I have done, and this is not something I came up with, We sell the basic white. This is the craft ink. So the craft ink is, it's not like a dye ink like our colors, like our real red is. This is a pigment. The white is a pigment ink where it's more like a consistency of a white paint. So when you order this ink pad, you get a inker with it, and it comes uninked. So I had taken my uninked ink pad here and took my refill of my tuxedo black ink, and I inked it all up. I find that I get a nice darker, crisper image with it in the foam pad rather than the felt pad like it normally comes. So I'm going to bring in, now it's not needed for this because this stamp set is a cling set. So it has that foam cushion. Photopolymers, to get a nice image, you would want some kind of foam or some kind of cushion underneath it. But I'm using it so that way I can see exactly where my white cardstock is, because it's a little bit harder when you have it on a white grid paper. So I'm going to bring in my one Santa Claus. Now on this I did put the label on. Now for some reason on here the foam of the back of my stamp looks like it shrunk a little bit, so now my label is a little bit longer than the that foam piece, so I'm going to have to trim that down some. Alright, so let me put my Santa Claus on here and let's ink it up, because we do want this ink to dry before we start coloring. I'll make sure that I got everything inked up, and then we are going to stamp them right here. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in the greeting that says "Be Jolly." Now I don't have the label on this, so I am going to put this on my block, and to try and get it straight, I'm going to look at the bottom edge of my block. So if I have this straight to that bottom edge, when I go to stamp it, just look at the bottom edge of the block and it should be straight. And I see I got some ink on the edge, so I don't want to rock the stamp. So there's our greeting. Okay, close that up. Alright, so let me kind of dry this a bit off to the side. And we'll move that. And while that's drying a little bit, I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Scrub, and I'm going to clean my stamps really quick. Alright, put those aside. Alright, so then, just kind of save my grid paper here, I'm going to bring in scrap piece of paper to put under this. When you use your alcohol markers, they may bleed through the cardstock. So if you have it on the paper, then it won't go through onto like your surface. Okay, so for his hat, his coat, and his pants, I want to bring in my light real red, and I'm going to color all of that in. I'll come in, what I'm going to do, because these images are, I mean, I'm not going to say they're really small, but they're not really large either. I am going to add some shadows in here, and one of the things I like to do without adding so much ink, where I take a chance of the ink bleeding outside the stamp line, I will come through with the lighter color, fill it all in, And then I will let that dry some, and then I will bring in the dark, and then I'll just add some of those shadows. And then I'll bring the light in again, but I don't have to do as much blending on it. The way to get a good blend is if the ink is still wet. But again, if your ink is wet and you add too much, like I said, it'll end up bleeding out where you don't want it. And then I gotta be really careful when I open up the dark real red. These are, I think, an older set. I think when Stampin' Up! Came out, they started out with blendabilities where they had a light, medium, and a dark shade of colors. And there was a quality issue with them. They did away with them. And a few years later, they came out with the Stampin' Blends. And so these are actually like from back when they first came out. So I've had this one for a while. At some point, I do have another set that I can replace it with as they start to dry out. All right, so then on his belt, I'm going to use my light basic black. I'll fill that all in. And the inside of his belt buckle here. Okay, and then his boots. All right. And then I want to bring in my dark shaded spruce, and I'm going to color his gloves in. So this one I'm not doing like any shading at all. And I'm just going to color it with the dark. Okay. And then for his skin, I am going to use, this is, when these are the natural tones blends. And when they first came out, they came out with numbers. So I'm using number 900, which is part of the light combo pack. And let me see what the tip looks. Okay, the tip looks okay. So I'm going to color his whole face in. And then I'll come in with the number 700, and then I'll add those shaded areas. We got his ears. Okay, and then what do we got next? Light. That's not light. We want light gray granite. And these areas here in his beard, so kind of like the shadows here for the white, I'm going to add some on the edges here. Let's see. And then we'll do bottom there. Okay. Oops. Okay, and then we'll let that dry, and then I'll come with the color lifter, and then I'll soften up those edges. Okay, and so then for his belt buckle, I'm going to use the light Wild Wheat. This is the in color, one of the in colors that just retired with our last annual catalog. Okay, so we colored that in. Okay, so then I'm going to take my dark red now. This I'm going to be very, very careful on opening this. And the reason why is because my, this piece here, it likes to come out with the cap, and then the, that foam piece that's inside of this that has the ink, we don't want that to fly out. It's flown out a few times, and yeah, we don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to add some of this dark real red here. Okay. These are kind of on their way out, so I do have another set to replace my real red. Okay, so I think we're good there. All right, now let's see, where did we start? We started, okay, so we did the red, the green we're leaving alone. Let's bring in the dark basic black. And here I'm going to add just going to outline his boots. And it'll come in. On the belt. And then let's see. Then we're going to use, which one is this? The 900 was the lightest. So then I'm going to bring in number 700, which is the medium light. And so those areas that we want shadows. So like under his hat. Okay. And right by his eye here. Okay, then let's see. Then we're going to bring in our color lifter. Now, Mike, sometimes the color lifters are very inky, and sometimes I've had it kind of puddle out. So I want to make sure that that's not going to happen on my project. And then so we're just softening those lines. Okay. Then let's see, what do we got? We're going to bring in the light red again. And I'm just going to blend this dark red a little bit. I'm not going to do too much because I don't want, like I said, I don't want the ink to end up bleeding outside of my stamped image. Okay. And then we have our light black. And we'll just blend that a little bit. All right, and then for his face, we'll come in. Okay. All right, so we have our Santa Claus. He's now colored, and now we can take this piece and we can adhere it to our card base. Let me close up my glue here. Let's see, got my seal. Add some in the back, didn't get that on there very straight. All right, then we'll center this on our card base here. Okay, then I'm going to bring in the Wink of Stella, and so those areas where there's white, we're going to add that. So the fur and the pom-pom that's on his hat and his eyebrows and his beard. And then on his jacket. Okay, and then for our embellishments, I'm going to bring in the Wonderful Gems. This has, it looks like it's real red, but it could be cherry cobbler. I know that's like a clear and a gold, but either way, whether it's cherry cobbler or real red, I think it's real red. It's gonna work with this project. Okay, so we'll add, there's 2 different sizes of each of these colors. And then one right up here. Okay, so there is the first card. So cute Santa Claus, and then there is also another Santa Claus image that you can use that one as well. Okay, so now let me bring in the pieces for our next card. So for this one, my card base is a basic white thick 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of that Take a Bow Designer Series paper, 5 1/4 by 4. I then have a piece of Real Red. This measures 5 1/4 by 3. And then I have a piece of basic white. This measures 5 1/4 by 2 3/4. And then ahead of time, I had embossed it using the Wintry 3D embossing folder. You have one with some evergreen branches and then one with snowflakes. So this is the evergreen branches. And then ahead of time, I had stamped the sled using the Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I fussy cut this ahead of time to save us some time on this video. You don't want to see me fussy cut on any video. So we'll be coloring this in and putting it on our project. And then I have, this is basic white, and this is something that's new that I believe Ooh, this could be either online exclusive or it could be in the new annual catalog. This is the part of the More Messages bundle. So the stamp set is a full size, like a background type stamp. It's got a bunch of different greetings on it. You would stamp that, and then this die has all of these label die cuts that you can line it up on there, and you can die cut all of these greetings. What I have done ahead of time, I have, out of the basic white cardstock, I have die cut some and put it in a little clear envelope and put it in the set of dies. So I already have some labels that are available. So this is this one right here. So we got that one, and we're going to stamp our greeting on that. Okay, so let me get what we need here. So I want to fold and burnish this card base. And I pulled out my other bone folder. I don't know why. I already had one out. Okay, and then my designer series paper, I'm gonna adhere this to my card base. Center that. Okay, and then this embossed piece here, I'm going to bring in my liquid glue part for this. My liquid glue for this part. This gives me that little bit of that wiggle room to get it all lined up evenly. And I find it's easier using the liquid glue rather than the seal to do something like this. And even, like, say if you were putting piece of designer series paper on the entire card base, I find, again, it's a lot easier to use the liquid glue than using the seal. Okay, so this is going to line up evenly top to bottom. And then we're going to have this little bit of a border of the red on either side. Okay, and then I'll bring my seal in for this part. Add some here. And then I'm going to place this kind of centered left and right, and it's going to go from, it's going to line up with the top and the bottom of that designer series paper. Okay, so now this little greeting tag right here, I'm going to bring in my Pierce mat again, just to make it a little bit easier to see where I'm stamping. And then for this one, I'm going to use a greeting that says a merry hello. And again, I'm going to look at my block and I'm going to line this up to that bottom edge. Okay, and then for this, I'm going to stamp that in real red ink. Okay. My real red is really inky. I'll stamp that in the middle, like so. Close that up. Okay, so now we are going to bring in the scrap paper and we're going to color in our sled with all of the presents on it. Okay, so again, I'm going to bring in real red and I'm going to start with my lighter shade. And we'll do this gift over here. Okay, And then I'm going to bring in my light and dark Old Olive ink. And let's see, how's this brush tip look? It looks good. So this package here with these stripes on it, I think I'm going to use the bullet tip. Have a little bit of a better control with the ink. Okay, and then we'll bring in the light. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my light smoky slate, and I'll color in this bottom gift. Okay. And then for the sled, I'm going to bring in my light soft suede. Alright, so we laid down some of our light, and we'll come back in with the dark and then go back over again with the light again. Alright, so then for this gift, we're going to do the dark real red. Now again, I'll be very careful. See, now I'm doing a video and it's not going to do it, but I do have to push that back in a little bit. Alright, so now we'll add the shadow here on this gift here. Okay, and then we'll do this little heart on this tag. Alright, and then the dark smoky slate. Add a little bit on here. Alright, and then our dark soft suede. Add that in these. And then bring some in from the outer edges here. And it will go right along edges here. So we gotta let that dry a little bit before we add the light. So I'll bring in the real light, real red. Okay. And then the light smoky slate again. So, and then our light soft suede. Okay, and then we got this front curved part of our sled. Okay. So when you do a lot of coloring on the cards, it is going to take a little more time to complete the card. So something like this, if you wanted to do a mass production of this particular card for your Christmas cards, I would suggest, stamping your images first, color them in, and then if you're someone who likes to fussy cut, then fussy cut. But one of the thing, if I was mass producing this card, I do have a brother scan and cut, and I would be cutting these all out with that, because fussy cutting, I will tell you, is not one of those things that I enjoy doing. So and again, and then also too, I mean, this is also a card that if you wanted, you can make as many or as few of them as you want. One of the things, Stampin' Up! Comes out with so many really cool stamp sets that are, Christmas and winter themed, that what I tend to do is I do a few of each. I may do like, say, 6 cards each. And then I have like this whole variety of all these different cards to choose from. And again, this is to give you some inspiration throughout the year if you choose to create your own Christmas cards, and start creating them, doing them throughout the year rather than, waiting until what, like right after Thanksgiving to do your cards, which I've been guilty of doing. Okay, so then my sled, I'm going to place this right about here. And then my Merry Hello, we're going to put some dimensionals on here. Okay, and then we will place this right here. And then with these wonderful gem embellishments, we're going to use these clear and gold ones. Let's see. We'll put that one right up there. Okay, so then there is our second card. So this time we use that sled and we use the other greeting that's in there. And again, this is the Wintry 3D embossing folder. It comes as a 2-pack. It is retired. You got the one with the evergreen and one with the snowflakes. These were sized to fit in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, but you can also use these in the large machine as well. So let me bring in the first card that we did, the one with the Santa Claus. So a lot of, again, with these images, they tend to, they, I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm sorry, guys. Um, for coloring. And then we did the other one using that sled image. And as a matter of fact, I forgot to do something on this particular card. We want to add some Winkostella onto our packages. So we got our red gift, and then our smoky slate one, and then our old olive. So there we go. We added a little bit more bling to our card. So there we go. A little more bling. Okay, so if you like the projects that I made for this month, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more projects like this, along with my Throwback Thursday videos, that's where I pull out my retired stash and I create 2 projects with that. And then Friday night, I go live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on this channel. So if you would like to subscribe, and then click on the little notification bell, and that will let you know when I have a new video posted and also when I go live. So I hope that you will join me on Friday. We have a lovely time. We do go a little bit long. We go about 2 hours, but everybody just loves communicating with each other and sharing some laughs and all that. So I hope you can join us. And if you can't, there's always the replay, and I truly appreciate it. I do want to make mention of just a couple of quick things. In the description of my video, I have a couple of things that are linked there. So we still have like our last chance products that are available. You can find them out on in the online store. So I do have a link that will take you there. Some items are discounted pretty big. So if you want to take a look at that. If you would like a copy of the new annual catalog, uh, my email is in there. Just send me an email with your full name and mailing address, and I'd be more than happy to send one out to you. And, and please, if you're here in the United States and you're not working with another demonstrator, I also have a link for my monthly newsletter. So on Tuesday, I believe that's going to be the 3rd, I will be sending out my newsletter. My newsletters, again, I typically do only one a month. The only time I'll do any more is if Stampin' Up! Has some kind of special or that's going on that we don't know about in advance. I also my video schedule as far as what I do on my, well, this particular video, what I use for my monthly Christmas card inspiration, what I'm doing for all my Throwback Thursdays and my Friday Night Lives. Also in there, I'll have information of any in-person. So if you're local to me here in Memphis, I will have, any classes or events that I hold. And then I include any information like specials or whatever that Stampin' Up! Will be having. And there is one that will be starting on June 3rd. All of the suites, whether it's in the new annual catalog or it's in the online exclusives, you buy one and you can get the other at half off. So that's going to be starting on the 3rd, and that'll go through the end of June. So I put things like that in there, and then every month Stampin' Up! Comes out with either another 2 or 3 kits for their kits collection. So I like to include a picture of what that new kit looks like and basically what it creates and what you get in it. So if you would like to receive that newsletter, when you click on the link, you just add your name and your email address, and then when I go to send it out, then you will receive it. And other than that, that's all that I have. So again, thank you everybody for joining me, and I hope you have a blessed one. Bye bye.